I used to believe silence was harmless, just empty space between people. But the night my name thundered through that graduation hall, I learned the truth. Silence can bruise louder than any shout. When they called me to the stage, when the lights hit my face, I turned automatically toward the row reserved for my family. 8 seats. 8 little name cards pressed in perfect alignment. Not a single body in them. No smile. No nod. Not even the hint of a shadow. Just 8 empty chairs staring back like they were mocking me in front of thousands of strangers, that I forced out a breath that tasted like metal and walked across that stage as if nothing inside me cracked. Everyone else had cheers erupting like fireworks. I had a void that I didn't hear from them for 8 months. Not a call. Not a text. Not even an accidental like on social media. And then suddenly, one headline about the penthouse I renovated blowing up the real estate circuit, and my phone lit up with a message so perfectly predictable it almost felt scripted. Family dinner. 6 p.m. important discussion. Not a single word more. My name is Arya Solberg, and if there's one thing my family taught me from the start, it's that some people only remember your existence when it benefits theirs. Growing up, I learned to shrink myself without ever being told to. My older sister, Claire, was the sun, bright, untouchable, demanded attention by simply existing. My younger brother, Theo, was the treasured one, the boy wrapped in armor forged from everyone else's excuses. And me? I became the hidden hinge that kept the house swinging smoothly. The one who filled gaps, fixed problems, absorbed blame without complaint. It began small. Claire forgot her science fair project. An entire trifold she left by the front door. She collapsed into tears, and my mother reacted like the world was ending. Without a thought, I handed her mine. She took home a ribbon. I took home nothing but a pat on the shoulder and my mother's favorite line. Arya always figures things out. Sounded like praise. It wasn't. Years later, after grinding through my first part-time job, I finally saved enough to buy drafting tools, my first investment in a dream that felt too fragile to say out loud. Before I even opened the package, my father asked to borrow the money to cover a bill Claire neglected. And when he pocketed it, he smiled and said, "You're responsible. She's just young." He never paid me back. Even birthdays followed the same pattern. One year I baked everyone a cake, my mother's favorite recipe. Claire arrived late with a box of grocery store cookies. She got the praise. I got ignored so completely I wondered if I'd turned invisible. But the moment that welded itself into my ribs forever came much later. I was living in a freezing shoebox apartment with thin walls and thinner insulation, wrapped in 2 jackets and hunched over a cheap desk, sketching out a renovation plan I hoped someone, anyone, would hire me for. Rent reminders blinked on my phone like taunts. I called my father, not for money, just for advice. He didn't even let me finish the sentence. Real estate is for men with real intuition, Arya. Try something more realistic. Then he hung up. That night, the seam of my worn-out portfolio split open. And instead of throwing it away, I stitched it back together by hand, the thread shuddering with every push of the needle. That crooked line of stitching stayed with me through every project after. When graduation finally arrived, I wanted just once to be seen, to be acknowledged. But those 8 chairs proved otherwise. They didn't forget me. They chose not to be there. 8 quiet months followed. Clean months. No obligations, no comparisons, no "can you help with?" I worked, saved, took whatever projects I could reach. And I didn't tell my family a single thing. Silence became a shield. Until the day my colleague forwarded me an article. Local developer turns 5 to penthouse project into citywide headline. My name was printed boldly under the photo of the building I rebuilt from dust. More messages followed, from strangers, from firms, from people who barely remembered I existed. But not from my family. Then my screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months. My father. His message was as warm as a board meeting invitation. Family dinner. 6 p.m. important discussion. Don't be late, and oh, congratulations. No acknowledgement. Just expectation. I stared at the message until the edges of my phone felt sharp against my fingers. They didn't want me. They wanted access. I replied, "I'll be there." But not for their reasons. I drove to my office instead of heading home. The parking lot behind the building was nearly empty. The kind of quiet that didn't feel lonely, just honest. Inside, the fluorescent hum settled into my bones. I set my old stitched portfolio on the desk and opened it. Page after page of contracts, valuations, plans. Everything I had built without a single ounce of their help. but I didn't feel triumphant. I felt steady. The most important file lay at the bottom. The acquisition papers for a commercial plaza developers had been fighting over for months. I had secured it that morning. Signed, sealed, beyond negotiation, and I knew, without needing to ask, that this was exactly the property my father's circle had been circling like vultures. By the time 7 p.m. hit, I was already driving toward their neighborhood. Every street I passed held a memory of walking home alone, or sitting on a curb waiting for a ride that never came. Landmarks of absence. I pulled into their driveway at 6:59. Perfect timing, just how my father liked it. Through the window I saw them all. Claire swirling her wine, Theo leaning back like he owned the room, my father pacing, my mother smoothing her dress like she was trying to iron her guilt away. None of them knew what sat in the passenger seat of my car. My father opened the door before I knocked. He looked at me the way he looked at investors. Expectant, calculating. "You're right on time," he said. No hug. No warmth. Just acknowledgement of punctuality. Inside they were all positioned like a committee. A seat at the far end, clearly meant for me, waited empty. My father didn't waste a second. "We've got a major development opportunity," he announced. "Warehouse district. High value. We need capital to finalize the deal." My brother smirked. "Figured you'd want real experience. This is your chance." Claire raised her glass. "It's generous, really. You're still new to the industry." My mother touched my arm. "Sweetheart, this is your chance to contribute, to be part of something bigger than yourself." I let them talk. Every sentence landed like a dull echo. Not one apology. Not a single acknowledgement. Just need. When they paused long enough to breathe, I placed my portfolio on the table. The sound was soft, controlled, but it sliced through the room like a blade. "I came for an important discussion," I said quietly. "But not yours." My father's eyes tightened. "Arya, this isn't the time." I opened the portfolio. A stack of acquisition documents slid into the candlelight. My uncle, Gerald, leaned forward, face draining. "That's the plaza. The anchor property. The one every firm has been after." His voice cracked. "How did you?" "I bought it," I said. Silence froze the room. My father's jaw locked. "You knew we were bidding." "No," I answered. "I knew the city was. And I don't wait for people to hand me opportunities." My mother whispered. "We're supposed to be a family." "A family shows up," I said. "You didn't." I gathered the documents, slid them neatly back into the portfolio, and closed it with a click that felt like a door sealing shut. "Dinner's yours," I said. "But the future? That's mine." No one followed me out. The night air hit my face sharp and cold. I walked to my Honda, sat in the driver's seat, and let my breath settle. Through the window I could see my family moving inside. Shadowy silhouettes, frantic with words I couldn't hear and didn't need to. My phone buzzed once. A message from my mother. "We didn't know how to make things right. Please don't give up on us." I didn't open it. Driving home, the city looked different, smaller, like the memories didn't belong to me anymore. When I reached my building, the lights from my penthouse glowed like a lighthouse I had built from nothing but grit. Inside, the air felt clean, ungrasped. Mind. I set my stitched portfolio on the counter, the crooked seam catching the light like a scar earned honestly. I touched it gently. Back then, sewing it shut felt like survival. Tonight it felt like proof.